Wednesday promoted. I don't know how you're feeling, but today I felt a bit odd, a bit surreal. Do you know what I mean? Because all week I couldn't sleep. I genuinely reckon I probably had 10 hours kipping run up to game, so I was worried about it. I'm not going to lie. I thought we could win, but they'd got them 2 wins against us this season, and I knew it was going to be a different game to Peterborough. Peterborough, pressure's almost off, and it 4-0 down, everybody's, written you off, so it's not a free hit, but it's like, you're going to go out and you're probably going to go about things differently than you usually would. But with this, I knew there were going to be a tenseness to it, tense all week, probably had 10 hours kip all week. Then yesterday, went down, we've got the result, seen the game, come home though, and couldn't sleep again, but for different reasons. Jubilation, exhaustion, because mentally it's exhausting. And then this morning, even though I know that I've gone however many 100 miles down there and back yesterday and seen the game and seen Wednesday win, it's not really sort of sunk in. There's a sort of surreal thing about it. I've got the memories in my head. I've been watching all the footage back. In fact, you can probably hear noise of my laptop overheating from, watching all the stuff. And yet somehow, it's like a dreamlike state. Like when you wake up and you're a bit, oh God, what was that dream I had last night? But it's all fractured and you can't quite piece it together. It's a bit like that. Yes, so down to Wembley. Got a message from our kid. Oh, I bet you've got loads of great footage for doing your video. Oh God, no. And even my dad, who, when it comes to technology, is about half a step behind Ned Ludd. Even he knows salt terms better than me. Well, have you got a selfie here, son, with Wembley pitch behind you? He said it'll make a great thumbnail for your video. Even he knows terminology better than me. And I ain't got one of them. Didn't even do a selfie with pitch behind me. I know. The grand total of everything I got yesterday is about 10 seconds on my phone. The world's worst vlogger. Terrible. But the thing is, I love football and I love watching football. And you get wrapped up in the moment, don't you? So I'm down there, even when players are warming up, you're trying to work out who's who, you're trying to pre-guess team. I'm looking at their lads warming up and I don't really have time for... do you know what I mean? I've got about 5-10 seconds of footage because you're in it, aren't you? So like I said, world's worst vlogger. So if you're looking for any of that action, probably not going to find it here. There's loads of videos out there though, by the way, if that's what you are after. So, Wembley. Magnificent view, I've got to say that. Well organised. Simple trip there on tube. Couple of things that not annoyed me, but First thing was this annoying voiceover man that they've got. He's on alt tannoys. You're not but super happy. Hi, welcome to Wembley. And it reminded me of Simpsons when they used to have the hi, my name's Ken Brockman. You may know me. Do you remember that? Was it Brockman? Anyway, so super happy voice. It reminded me when I take kids on holidays to Haven Holiday Camp. Hi. Shouldn't annoy me. It's just a nice voiceover. Please have a nice day. Don't trip and fall down our stairs. So there were that. I did see a kid getting pulled over by coppers at top of steps. Oh, look, a lovely dog. Tip the bag out, son. Mind you, if you're going to try and get illegal substances into a national stadium, wearing a bucket out with weed leaf print on it, it's like, don't advertise what you've got in your bag. Do you know what I mean? You didn't even really need a dog. Even I'd thought. Anyway, so there was that. I did have a few drinks before. Now, I don't usually drink when I'm watching football, and I hadn't done for 15 years or so, because you're paying a lot of money to go and see a game, and then you can't remember any of it. Now, different people have different experience. Some people like to have a drink and football, they go hand in hand, and I've been there, it passed me sen. Some people like to get completely arsehole so they can't remember it out, and obviously with Wednesday being how they had it last 20 years, probably not, surprising. But it nerves and tension. I had to just to take edge off. Now bozos were rammed. So we managed to find this nice little pizzeria. Is that how you say it? This pizza shop. Went in there. Anyway, it took them about 40 minutes to pull 2 pints, because if you got, but we eventually got some ale in there, and that was lovely. Until police raided it and told him, you've been told before about this. But I've got to be fair, I've got to hold my hands up and be fair. The nice lady who came bursting through the door from Met, she did actually say to us, I don't mind anyone getting pissed, just as not as they pissed outside in the street with glass bottles. And, well, that's fair enough, really, isn't it? So, yes, just a few, just to take the edge off. Then into the stadium. I may as well show you the grand total of my vlogging skills. Prepare to be disappointed. That's it. That is my entire vlogging footage for the entire day. That's my entire thing. World's worst vlogger. But anyway, we're there to enjoy it, aren't you? And take it in, and if I go for some snap, I don't take pictures of me snap, If I'm trying to get a jump, I'm not, Anyway, into the stadium, the big event. But before that, there's the build-up, isn't there? There's a build-up. And there were plenty of singing outside from Wednesday fans. It were fantastic. And Barnsley fans. And there's that rivalry, isn't there? And there's a natural flow to it. So you've got, not arch enemies, but it's a Yorkshire derby. And you get the banter between the two. I don't do banter myself, but you know what I mean? You've got that little bit of to and fro between the fans. But I thought that were edged out a bit by the fact there was this sort of, what's the phrase? Like an itinerary, almost like a narrative of the day, like a script writer would be like, right, the Wednesday fans will be here, the Barnsley fans will be here, and then, and it sucks that natural to and fro, for me, anyway. Hi, voiceover man. So there were that. Then there were this DJ. Now I'm not into DJing. I don't know all about DJing at all, because I'm more of a rock and roll man. You know what I mean? I'm more of a Thin Lizzy sort of bloke. Twin guitar attack. That's me. So I don't really know about that game. So I see he's I'll tell you something else. I don't know about that, but I know when someone's miming. Well, not miming, because he weren't, but pretend he were miming doing that bit, because that were clearly being streamed off his phone. So there's that, and it's that sort of forced entertainment thing, like a cup final version of the Stepford Wives. Everyone's having fun. Now we're going to sing this, and now we're going to sing that, and now we're going to... Don't tell us what to sing, pal. You know what I mean? So I thought that sucked a bit of that natural to and fro from fans. I'm moaning again, aren't I? Anyway, the main event, the game. That's what we're all here for, the game. So, the teams. Barnsley, as expected, unchanged. I still in goal. Back three, Thomas, Anderson and Kitching. Midfield, Williams, Phillips, Connell, Kane and Cadden. Tedic and Cole up front. Wednesday, also unchanged. Dawson in goal, back three, Iorfa, Ahekwe and James. Midfield, Patterson, Palmer, Bannon and Johnson. Smith and Gregory up front, with Windass in the number 10 role. Now, in build-up to game, Obviously delighted with Wednesday's performance against Peterborough, absolutely fantastic result. And I enjoyed that way we played. Very direct, loads of crosses in box, 58 crosses or whatever it were. But you know you're not going to play like that every week. You'd like them to, but probably kill them. So we knew it was going to be more like the way we've played for the rest of the season. That was a one-off thing, 4-0 down, you've got no choice, you've got to go for it. This, cup final, you don't want to lose. So I knew it'd be more like what we've done for the rest of the season. In terms of team, as we've just seen there, Wednesday unchanged. And in the week, I was concerned about a couple of things. The first thing I was concerned about is all 4 of our striking options in the starting 11. We did that against Peterborough. And then you're thinking, what have you got from bench if one of them gets knackered? Because they've had an absolutely gruelling game against Peterborough, over 120 minutes. If it goes same again, extra time, who have you got from bench that's attacking-wise that you're going to bring on? So that was a concern for me. Obviously, we brought Flint on last week. He's coming up front and he's won some headers and it sets up that goal for Palmer. But do you want to be having to do that again? So Wednesday start with all 4 of their strikers on pitch. Brave move. I could understand why you don't want to change your winning team, but I did think it were brave in terms of bench. I also talked about in week that I was worried, couldn't get to sleep at night because I was worried about that midfield area. I was worried about them letting us have ball up back, and as soon as we got it into midfield, them being bang on us. That didn't really happen. We'd played Windass off the front 2, and I was worried about especially, like I said, Kane, Connell, Phillips in there. And Phillips has got a banging shot, by the way. He's not afraid to hit one from 30-odd yards, especially if they win ball back out. So in week I've been concerned about that. What's the first 10 minutes is, they were obviously concerned about Windass. When he's, because that push right up on your sort of deepest midfield player, he's ratting in there and getting a foot in and snapping at heels. He was sat right off. He would, you'd sort of go Phillips here and Kane here. Clearly, Connell was 10 yards deep with them. And I thought that suited Wednesday. We had a decent start, actually, first 10 minutes. I often had a shot, a little sort of, it dropped down to him and it went on way up and he flicked it way outside it boot. And if he got a bit more swaz on it, I think he'd have probably tested keeper more. Still forced him into a save. Bannon had a bit of a shot, and it was a positive start from Wednesday. Like I said, first 5-10 minutes or so like that. And like I said, I was really pleased because that Connell, I'm worried about, he's a snapper in there. He was sat really deep. Now the other thing is that it weren't a great game. Let's get that out of the way first thing. It weren't a great game of football. It wasn't a great performance from Wednesday. But we'd lost to these twice. And in both games we conceded an early goal. So vital we don't concede early. Now we can't go gung-ho like we went against Peterborough because these will pick us off. Because that's the way they set up to play, to pick us off whenever we've come up against them this season. Let us have it. Sucker is into midfield and then bang, 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 try and get in our box. So there was a patience from Wednesday, but we did something else, which I know frustrated a lot of people who were sort of sat around me, was we let Barnsley have ball. We sort of flipped the game on its head in that sense because the other 2 games this season, they've let us have ball at back and then look to get in and rat and get us on a quick sort of counter punch. We let them have a bit of ball. And we dropped off and said, okay, come, you break this down. And I think that caught them off guard a bit as well. So the first 10 minutes, I thought Wednesday edged that with the chances. And like I said, they were seeing a lot of ball at back and into midfield. And Wednesday got a really good solid shape, which, whilst it's not very exciting, it lessens your chances of conceding, doesn't it? And that's been something that's been the bedrock of what we've done all season. I know we threw sort of everything at Peterborough and sort of threw all previous game plans for 46 games out at window, but that would have one-off. This game, we went back to what we've been doing, which is having that solid foundation at back. We set off and we didn't overplay, because we knew if we did overplay, these would be in snapping. So it were 1 and 2 touch, and then bang bang, we were trying to get it wide, trying to get it into the box. So like I said, it weren't great on eye, it weren't 100 mile an hour, and they did have spells of possession, Barnsley, and we weren't going in and pressing it. And like I said, there were a lot of screams and shouts, because people are like, close them down Wednesday, get into them Wednesday, but I couldn't understand why we didn't, because you don't want to leave them gaps behind. That Barnsley are a team that when they got a goal against Wednesday, they managed to hang on to it, don't they, and often add to it. So vital we didn't concede. And of course Wednesday, loads of clean sheets this season, and if he can nick a goal, Wednesday hadn't lost a game from scoring first. So always going to be a tense game, always going to be more of a chess match than either of the league games against these two, and certainly more of a chess match than the Peterborough game. So we will let them have more at ball. Good shape about us, sitting in there sort of on halfway line. And like I said, we sort of pulled a switch trick on them, because other games they've let us have ball and then they've been into us. It made for like I said, a more conservative game, but I could fully understand why, and I was actually quite pleased we did, because like I said, these have had measured of us 2 games this season in league, so we had to try something a little bit different. So we were a bit more direct, get it wide, get it in, and when things broke down, instead of going after it and trying to close down from front, when it broke down, we were like, okay, that's broke down, let's get a nice shape, and let's get ready that when we do intercept, we can just go again. So the main talking point then, well, there's 2. Firstly, there's a penalty claim. There's a Barnsley penalty claim. Is it a penalty? Well, live, first thing I thought it came in, it's all very quick into it. It came in, I saw the 2 players go for it and both go down. Patterson swept away, and even as ball were getting swept away, I turned to my mate and I went, I think we've just got away with one down here. And then I've looked at it when I've got out. Well, actually, I first looked at it over a kid's shoulder on tube, and he'd got an angle where I thought, yeah, that is a penalty. Because the angle he'd got, it looked like I think the lad were Kitchen. They're both going football. Looked like Kitchen just hooked it away, just as him and Gregory's legs clashed. But I've seen a separate third angle today. I don't think Kitchen does hook it away with his foot. But the third angle I've seen today, the ball is coming down. Gregory swings at it. Kitchen swings at it. Neither of them gets the ball. The shins collide, and the ball actually hits Gregory's thigh and bobs away. So, is it a foul? Yes. But is it a foul on Kitchen? Is it a foul on Gregory? Well, I think it's a foul on both of them, isn't it? They both foul each other at the same time, is the way I'm looking at it. Now listen, don't get me wrong, I know comments are going to be full of Barnsley section, you bent bastard, whatever. If, as a Wednesday fan, if that happens, in their box, I'm 100% screaming for that to be a penalty. 100% screaming, and I would be right, because it would be a foul. If it weren't given, though, I would understand, yeah, they've kicked each other. Do you know what I mean? Seeing them given, seeing them not given. In fact, I've seen about 5 this season. I've seen 2 against Gregory this season that were exactly like that. I've seen one against Flint about 3 weeks ago that were like that. So I'd be screaming for it, but I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't get it. And then that brings us to the second talking point, and I don't know if the 2 things are still linked, because I think there's a little window there where Barnsley are quite incensed that they ain't got that. And like I said, that leads us to the second talking point, which is the sending off. Is it a sending off? Yeah, it's 100% a sending off. On first viewing, I thought, well, bleeding hell, he's gone in hard there, and I thought it might be yellow. But seeing it again, it's a sending off. Now, I don't think it's nasty. I don't think it's particularly vindictive. I don't think he's trying to do him. But Gregory gets there much earlier than Phillips. And it's there in black and white. It's there in the rule book, you know. Now, I've seen there's been 100 pundits today, most of them ex-players, by the way, who were like, oh no, not for me, that's a yellow. But I don't know how many players get a rule book still sent through post every year. But it's there in black and white, the rules are there. If you chuck your sending air, if you lose control, you give the point is this, you give the referee a decision to make when you make a tackle like that, a stupid tackle like that. And it is a stupid tackle. It is a stupid tackle, because he's got no need to do it for a start. Wednesday aren't going anywhere. But he chucks him sending, and it's actually his trailing foot that catches Gregory. And like I said, it's not nasty. I don't think there's any intent to hurt. I think he's chucking him sending and tried to go in hard. I don't think he's meant to hurt him. But is it a sending off? Well, by letter at law, yeah, it is. It is sending off. And I think lads let him send down there because it's a needless tackle, and they're the worst ones, aren't they? Gets his marching orders, and that's a sort of turning point in game for me. And it would sound stupid if I said it was a turning point in Barnsley's favour, because it clearly wasn't a turning point in Barnsley's favour. But in terms of the pattern of the game, I think it did do him a favour in one sense, which was that before that point, Wednesday, as I said, had done the flip on Barnsley. The way the games had progressed at OWLS and the game at Hillsborough earlier in the season, there was a set rhythm to the game, and the rhythm to that game was Barnsley set off. They let Wednesday have ball with a back three. They let us fanny about and have 2, 3, 4 passes. And then as soon as it got into midfield near halfway line, bang, they were squeezed up, and then midfield three were in, all over us, you know, ratting about, getting a footing, and doing a quick turnaround and flipping balls over the top, little threaded balls through. And that was the game plan. It was like, yeah, let Wednesday have all possession. And as soon as they get into this middle area, you know, sort of no man's land, bang, we're in. And it was a game plan that worked fantastically for them in 2 league games where they took 6 points off us. Well, like I said, in the opening half an hour of this game, first half, it was sort of the other way. Wednesday was saying, okay, we'll have a bit of possession, but if it breaks down, we're not going to rat after you. We're just going to drop off and have a nice shape and let you have it for a bit. And I don't think Barnsley were used to that, because the league games, they'd let us have it and they ratted us, not the other way around. So we sort of almost held a tactical mirror up and went, yeah, okay, you have it back a bit, and then you come into us and we'll hit you. But when the sending off happened, suddenly, and it's going to happen when you've got the extra man, Wednesday's got the 11 men, so Wednesday has seen more of the ball, and because of that, the natural sway of it, in a way, allowed Barnsley to play again like they played in the 2 league games, because Wednesday had the possession, we were going more into their half, and then they were able to do what they were doing before, ratting. Obviously, they're doing it with a man down, so it's not as effective as it was in the league game, but I would say after sending off, Wednesday had a spell of about 5-10 minutes where they were really chucking it at Barnsley, and Barnsley were a little bit of disarray, because that happens when you lose a man and everyone's like, right, who's where? Isted made a really good save. Bannon had a shot that were just over. And so it was that 5-10 minute spell when you were like, yeah, Wednesday clearly trying to take advantage of being a man up. But after that, and I would say from 70 minutes on, despite Wednesday having all that ball, I think Barnsley looked more dangerous. And I thought that was their best spell at game. And like I said, it's because Wednesday were having ball, coming into Barnsley half at field, and then Barnsley were able to rat us again. And I had a spell I was frustrated with Wednesday, because I thought we should have just kept possession more. And a lot of people were like, get it in box Wednesday and this and over. And because fans, when your team have got a numerical advantage, you want to go and crush opposition. That's what fans want. I was sort of a bit different. I wanted Wednesday to have more possession and just keep moving it about and try and tire them out. We got the spare man. And for my money, the spare man should have been Windass. That should have opened it up
he should have been in that. Go whatever you want, son. Let's just keep moving about and tie these out and keep pulling them out. But what we did do, and like I said, let's get it out of the way, it was a poor game. Wednesday, you'd have 2 or 3 good passes in a move. And I don't know if it's because they were worried about getting caught with a quick tackle and counter-attack from Barnsley. We rushed the final pass. So we might put 2 or 3 passes together, and then we kept just putting this sort of flat diagonal into box, which were meat and drink for their centre halves, and it was just that we got a nice little bit of possession, and the final ball was rushed. Whereas if you're going down left hand side and you think it's closing up a bit, don't just pop it in. If it's closing up a bit, bring it back out and go the other way. Do you know what I mean? And I thought we could have done that more. It was a bit flat, and then there was that little bit of thing where we were trying to force the issue. I mean, I don't think we had to force the issue. And the fact we'd gone that long without conceding, which is better than we did in both league games, I think should have given us that confidence to use ball more and keep it moving more. And I don't want to be harsh on Wednesday because they've had such a gruelling game against Peterborough, but, keeping possession can be tiring because your movement's got to be good if you're keeping possession well. It's a difference between good possession and bad possession, isn't there? So maybe I'm being overly harsh, but I'd have liked to see us move the ball about a bit more. I just felt we were trying to force that pass. We'd have 2 or 3, and then we were looking for a killer ball, and I'd have liked to have just seen us play a little bit more. But yeah, I know there's going to be loads of people. This kid is talking absolute bollocks, and you might think that we all see the game differently. But I genuinely thought when they went down to 10, from 70 minutes on, when they got used to what had happened and Duff had sorted things out a bit, I actually thought it suited the way they like to play against us. Puts me about because he's horrible, isn't he? He's horrible, and he puts it about, and he's a bit of a centre half's nightmare. And he did a really good breakdown right hand side, forced an excellent save from Dawson on near post, and he was an handful. And he also brought on the lad Thomas, the kid with really blonde hair. He really impressed me at Hillsborough, because he was all over the show. And again, they were just Wednesday were having more at possession, but he was just having a few little touches and flashes that reminded me of what I'd seen him do before, and I thought, I don't like this kid because he pops up in little pockets. Do you know what I mean? 1 minute you're like, oh, where's he? Oh shit, he's over there. Do you know, he's one of them players, so that put me about a bit. And I'll be honest, even with 11 men, I was a little bit nervy because I thought these are going to have a couple of opportunities, and they did. And it goes to extra time, and there's a tension. In fact, I spoke to my dad, and he said, "Oh, I thought they kept muting sound because he were in Sheffield watching it on telly. I thought they kept muting sound, but he weren't muting sound. And anyone who there will know there was a little bit of tension creeping in, and so there were these spells of quiet. And when you get quiet in a huge stadium like that, it stands out more, doesn't it? Because then you hear the long voices echoing. So there were these little spells. And then Barnsley, and we've got to be fair to their fans actually, because there weren't as many there, because we had seen. The team got down to 10 men, and I thought that spurred them on. Their fans, I thought they started making a lot more noise after they went down to 10 men. But I think you do, because it's that it brings out that spirit in you, that underdog thing in you, doesn't it? We're down to 10 men. You know when you feel like everything's against you. So they've had a pen turned down, they've had a man sent off, and when everything's against you, it can bring that connectivity between all of you and that link between fans and players and everything. And Barnsley fans started making a lot of noise at that stage, and like I said, Wednesday we're having more at ball, and overall stats will show that we've had more shots or whatever. But I thought they were looking dangerous on break. But Eisted made a point blank save from Smith, and It's a fantastic save. It's a reflex save, and he's about a yard away from him. It's a fantastic save. But I would be expecting Smith to score there, if I'm perfectly honest with you. Like I said, Wednesday had more at ball, sort of half chance. Bannon swept a lovely one. Again, that Iceland made a real good save, got it round post, because Bannon did old Norman Whiteside trick, didn't he? Which is it. There were a couple of defenders coming in to block. Their back three, actually. I thought they were superb, Barnsley's back three. Old Norman Whiteside trick, which is defenders are coming in. Well, use their defenders to block their goalkeeper's view and get it round them. So he hit a shot like that, and again, Iceland makes a really good save, puts it right bottom at post. Kitchen, Anderson, I thought they were fantastic for Barnsley, because like I said, we were putting a lot in box. Like I said, a lot of flat deliveries that I'm not particularly a fan of. I'd like to see us keep more possession, but we were putting it in box a lot. Not in areas I'd like, but we were putting in a lot, and they dealt with it. They really dealt with it. Yeah, I do like that Anderson. I think he's a terrific centre half, and that's one thing I noticed almost from kick-off is the first few balls in air. He's not as big, but he showed Smith what sort of afternoon he were going to be in for, because he were climbing all over him, he were getting his head on things, he was shoulder barging, and he was really strong and tough, and they're interesting little battles. And I think if you're a big 6'3" centre forward like that, I think you've got to do the same back. I think that first 10 minutes you've got to say, oh, it's going to be one of them afternoons for me. It's going to be one of them afternoons for you. But I thought Anderson probably won that battle overall of it afternoon. Equally down other end, I mean, it's a game of centre halves we're talking here, isn't it? Because I thought Hekwe was superb. I don't think he gave Cole or Tedic. I don't think he gave him a sniff. I thought he had a great afternoon, as did Iorfa. Now, Iorfa's been a bit of a whipping boy this season, and he did start season crap. He'd probably tell you that himself if you asked him. He kept losing his man first 3 or 4 games at season, coming to a little bit form, then he dropped off a bit. And I think he's a confidence player. And I think the last 3 games I think he's been really good. And I thought that on Saturday was probably his best game, Iorfa. But Hekwe were brilliant. He did that job on Clark Harris last week. Absolutely magnificent performance. And I think he did the same again today. Like I said, Cole and Tadic, they've gone off. Noban's come on, and I think in the main he's dealt with him. There were a couple of times when he wriggled, but that tended to be when he drifted out into wider areas, you know, and Hekwe was in middle. I think he's had a fantastic game. Him, Iorfa, Anderson, Kitchen, 4 centre halves there, I think they've all been superb, which maybe that tells you what sort of game it were. It weren't the most quality game in the world. I mean, it was a game that if you're watching that in league, you're trumping out at ground going, God, a lot of crap, you know. But there's little bits in games that, it's not just about goals, is it? You can see bits in games where you can appreciate things even if it might not be pleasing on eye. So that Anderson, a big tough centre half winning his battles, I can see that, and I can not enjoy it, obviously he plays for opposition, but I can appreciate what he's doing. And equally, Hekwe, I thought he was superb for Wednesday. Now, before game, all week, I've been talking, the main thing I was worried about was Barnsley's midfield trio in there. Now, a few things have happened. Obviously, Connell played a bit deeper to deal with Windass, so that sort of almost nullified him, so we're just following him around a bit. And then Phillips, who's a real danger man for Barnsley. I think he goals from midfield, and he's one of that. He's got a right spank from about 20-25 yards. I mean, he's let him down with that tackle. It's a needless tackle. We're not going anywhere. He's chucked himself in. Like I said, he's give ref a decision to make, and I nearly started sounding like an head teacher then. Not only have you let your school down and your family down, you've let yourself down, you know, the old head teacher speech. But I don't think he has let Barnsley down there with that tackle, because it was needless. It was a needless tackle, and he's a good player. He's a very good player. Like I said, his goals record from middle at park is actually really good. I mean, the strikers who won't mind a return like that, do you know what I mean? So, in week, I was worried about their midfield three. So, like I said, I think that's the main area where I was pleased with Wednesday's performance, in that we didn't get dominated in that middle at park like I think we'd done in other games. Now, obviously, Phillips went off, so that's one reason. But even before that, I thought Wednesday were being smart enough to keep getting it wide and getting it wide quickly and keeping it out of that central area even before Phillips went off. So that was a concern. But as I said, when they went down to 10 men, Wednesday had possession, more shots, more crosses, whatever. But it did give Barnsley the opportunity to play their more natural game, which is to let Wednesday have ball and then make the most of their opportunities when gaps arrive at back when we're pushed on. And one of them opportunities came, which I knew it would. That's why I preferred the boring football when it was at 11v11. I know there were a lot of groans around me, but I preferred that because I felt less threatened than when they went down to 10 and we'd got alt ball, because I'm always worried about that counter. And it was that man Connell. Actually, well, first it's Thomas, the kid I was talking about with the white blonde hair, who impressed me at Hillsborough. Drifts up right hand side. It's a really good counter. I'm not sure if it's not Kane who plays ball to him. He does really well. Gets to Wednesday's box, and then he's just got that patience, because he waits for us to start going towards him. Two start coming towards him. Head up. Puts ball across to Connell. Well, like I said, I think he's a terrific player, that Connell. I really do. And I know he'll be getting a bit of stick from Wednesday fans, but I still think he's a quality player. Everybody can make a mistake, and he made one, because that ball comes across, and he's got to finish that from there. 5-6 yards out, comes across, and he just, as he's swinging his left foot at it, he just takes his eye off it at last sec. Just takes his eye off it. He's probably head up, waiting to see net ripple, and it just sort of catches wrong part of his foot, and he's because he goes it with instep. It's not like he's tried to go laces and smash it, and it's screwed off edge of his boot. He's done the right thing. He's gone for instep, but that fraction of a second you take your eye off it, it's wrong part and flips out, and that's a get out of jail card day from Wednesday, and that's what I talked about before. Possession is okay if you're going somewhere with it, or if you're moving it at speed to tie opposition out. Our possession, it were okay to a point, and then we were putting stuff in box that Anderson and Kitchen were eating, for breakfast. And then you're susceptible to that counter, and that was a golden opportunity. And when you look at the stats for the season, Barnsley Wednesday, similar in two respects, is that when Barnsley get that first goal, they don't lose many, and Wednesday they've not lost a game when they've scored first goal. So vital that we didn't concede there. Massive get out of jail card, and it was a bit of a warning shot across sort of bows, that you can't take your eye off ball for a minute. You've got to be 100% focused, no matter they're down to 10, no matter you're having lion's share of possession, focus all the time, and that would a massive opportunity for them. Wednesday had a shuffle. Will Volks came on for Reece James, who were tired in, and actually a lot of tired in. There were a ball went out for a throw into them, and ref just allowed players to have a drinks break. Actually, he did that about 4 times, and it weren't that hot, but there's. And when he did it, genuinely, there's about 5 Wednesday players went down with cramp, and they're all, no Barnsley players down at the same time, and that we were talking amongst ourselves, and we were saying, Wednesday have got that older squad. They've done that 120 minutes against Peterborough, and it's not just the physical exertion, although that would have absolutely knackered them, but that mental exertion. As you're clawing that 4-0 back, and the adrenaline's going. And I forget scientific term, but once you've had a massive adrenaline spike and it starts going down, you do go down. And physically they were looking drained in second half Wednesday. So yeah, James had gone off, Volks come on, and Palmer went across to left centre half. And it was getting tense. And then Will Volks come on and he scored, and it's an absolutely terrific goal. And I know it's a terrific goal because I've seen it on replay, because I didn't see it live at the time, because as I said to you, I don't usually booze before a game because I like to watch the football. I like to... What's he doing over there? You know, even when balls down it, I'm like, what's he doing? Oh, why is he shuffled over there? Do they change it system and we change it? I'm a bit of a gimp, but I'm a bit of a geek when it comes to it, so... But I added a beer to take edge off because I've been stressing all week. So I decided to go for a slash. So we're about 30 seconds to go before little turnaround, half time, next time. I decided to sprint down and have a quick slash. Just coming back up steps, big roar. I thought, Jesus Christ, Wednesday scored, winning goal, and I've missed it like a knobhead. Offside. No, Volks weren't offside, it were Jack Hunt when he was about 5 yards off on initial ball. And it's a shame because it absolutely fantastic. It would have been one of the great playoff goals, that, wouldn't it? Lovely play from Jack Hunt because he waited to lay that pass back into Volks' path, and it just sat sweet for him to hit it. So yeah, that's rolled out. And by that stage, I'm thinking about penalties. I'm more in my head, you know, Bannon's down twice, 3 times maybe, and he's had to come off. And in my head, I'm like, well, he'd have took one. I'm already thinking penalties, and I'm sort of, what's happening on Park is almost in a bit of a haze now, because my mind, mentally, I'm preparing for pens, and Windass will have one, Gregory will have one, Smith will have one. I'm trying to work out all takers. And mentally prepare for it. I hate penalties. And that's when we scored winner. Fantastic play from Lee Gregory. It was had a great game, actually. He's really put himself about, you know. He's not as big as Smithy, but I think he's probably one more in air yesterday. I think his timing was really good and his leaping. His last few minutes, like I said, Deli Bashir knocks a ball into Gregory. And it's great footwork. It's fantastic footwork. You know, he's 30-odd-year-old. He's done 120 minutes other night. He's got that daft mask on his face, which I'm just calling it a daft mask. I know it's helping him, but I bet it's really frustrating to play one of them. I bet it's sweaty as hell. I bet it's horrible. A lovely little wriggle. Just creates a foot, and it's just enough. Picks a lovely cross out. And I said against Peterborough, and I've said against Derby, and I've said against Portsmouth, and I say every bloody week, when you're putting a crossing, don't try and find the man. Put it into their space and give people something to attack. And that's twice in the last 2 games they've done it. Puts it into space, and Windass has got something to attack. Now, albeit he has to chuck himself at it like Clark Kent, opening suit and chucking glasses off. Fantastic header. Eyes open. What they used to say that when we were kids. Keep your eyes open when you head ball, and you're like, oh yeah, I'll do that, sir. But he does. Eyes on it. And I love a diving header. It's one of my favourite things in game. I've got no doubt a time will come when there aren't any diving headers, or even any headers full stop. Hopefully long dead and gone when that happens, because I love, it's a great part of the game. And a diving header, it's one of best goals. It's one of the best sights in football. It's a great, can Eisted get to it? He gets his hands to it. It's just too quick. It's too quick. The cross has come in at an angle where it's coming back out, so I think he would a bit. And Windass has just chucked himself at it, got enough, side spin on not with it, and just took it away from him. And he's got his hands to it, but I don't think he'd stop that. I think you'd have to be super critical to blame keeper for that.
And a keeper who kept him in game, by the way, because he's made about 4 or 5 excellent saves, I still on day. But so's Dawson. Both goalkeepers have had an excellent game. Absolute scenes where we were sat the entire Wednesday end. It's just a movement. It's a huge stadium, so you can't see people's faces from distance, but it's just like a swarm of bees. It's all moving about. Or when you see like a midge cloud coming in, and it's just, personally, don't sound long, and it ain't long in the sort of spectrum of life, or whatever you want to call it, but I would say for 5 or 10 seconds after that went in, I weren't jumping about. I think A, it was shock, and B, I think it's because I was mentally preparing for penalties. I'd already told myself it was going to be penalties. And if you look at Wednesday of not last season so much, but the 4 or 5 seasons before that, the number of times that we conceded a goal after 85th minute, and we worked it out with the season, and somebody might have seen the video I did, 50 points we cost ourselves over 5 year with goals after 85th minute. So the last 5 minutes of games, for us to do what we've done in the last 2 weeks, Palmer's goal of the week, Windass goal this week, it shows a completely different mentality to this group of players than we've had for 10 years. Amazing scenes. Everybody's going absolutely wild. And at whistle goes. And I'm in shock. I think everyone's in shock. Everybody's singing. And we've done it. We've done it.